Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, kiedy my żyjemy. Co nam obca przemoc wzięła, szablą odbierzemy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączę się z narodem. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like clouds before thee, opening to the sun above. Let the clouds of sin and sadness drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. Let the clouds of sin and sadness drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day.
Szanowni Państwo,
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to open the inauguration of the academic year 2021.
Bardzo proszę wszystkich o zajęcie miejsc.
Please do take your seats. Thank you.
Szanowni Państwo, to w istocie
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed
przede wszystkim
a great moment to be here with you, with our guests and students who have decided to come here in person. And I'm also delighted that we are joined by so many people online. I would like to welcome our distinguished guests. First and foremost, Excellence Romuald Kozminski, the Bishop of the Warsaw-Praga Diocese.
witam serdecznie pana
I also
profesora
welcome
Woźnickiego,
Professor Jerzy
prezesa
Woźnicki,
Fundacji
President of the Polish Rectors Foundation.
Witam serdecznie
I would like to welcome the rectors of Warsaw Universities, Professor Roman Cieślak, the SWPS University of Humanities, Professor Bartosz Molik, rector of the Physical Education Academy.
Witam serdecznie pana
I would like to
profesora
welcome
Nowaka,
Professor
rektora
Alojzy Nowak,
Uniwersytetu
rector of the Warsaw University.
Witam profesora
I would like
Macieja
to
Oralskiego,
welcome
rektora uczelni
Professor
Łazarskiej.
Maciej Oralski, the rector of the Łazarski University, Professor Piotr Wachowiak, rector of the Warsaw School of Economics and the chair of the Conference of Warsaw Rectors. I would like to welcome deputy rectors who have honored us with their presence, Professor Boła,
Uniwersytetu Ekonomicznego w
Vice Dean for
Witam starszego
Apprenticeship from Kraków, Senior Brigadier, Mr. Jaros, Pro Dean for Education and Student Affairs in the main School of Firefighting, Professor Kosior, Medical Affairs Pro Dean of the Cardinal Stefan Wyszyński University, Colonel Dr. Dariusz Majchrzak, Pro Dean for Military Affairs of the Military Art Academy. May I welcome Professor Tomasz Okruszko, Pro Dean of for Education of the main University of Agriculture, Madam Professor Magda Pasamonik from the Maria Grzegorzewska Special Pedagogy University. May I welcome Reverend Presidok, Pro Dean for Student Affairs of the Catholic University of Warsaw, Professor Daniel Staniewski, the Academic Affairs of the Academy for Economics and Humanities, Colonel Professor Jacek Świderski, Pro-Dean for Development of the Warsaw Technical
Pana profesora Adama
Military
Wierzbickiego,
University, Professor Adam Wierzbicki of the Polish-Japanese Computer Technology Academy, Professor Paweł Włodarski, Internationalization and Promotion and Development Pro-Dean of the Warsaw Medical University, Katowice, and Professor Wolny for Community Affairs, Pro-Dean for Community Affairs in Katowice, Professor Jerzy Zalewski, Pro-Dean for Student Affairs in the Warsaw University of Technology, Dean Grzegorz Karasiewicz, Dean of the Management Faculty of the University of Warsaw. Welcome, Professor.
Szanowni Państwo,
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our partner institutions. First and foremost, may I welcome Mrs. Joanna Mensch, CEO Longevity Center, member of the Longevity Advisory Board, Katarzyna Breiter, former Polish Council in Brazil, Professor Monika Całkiewicz, Dean of the local Bar of Legal Counselors, Bogusław Dębski, Head of the Certification and Qualifications Center of the Polish Informatics Society, Professor Zbigniew Dworzecki, Deputy President of the Polish Chamber of Commerce, Mariusz Frankowski, Head of the Mazovian EU Project Implementation Unit. May I welcome Mrs. Ursula Gurol, Head of the International Collaboration and Education Department in the Office for the Protection of Personal Information. May I also welcome the representative of Orange Polska. This folder is quite heavy. Łukasz Ławniczak, CEO of ZBMSA, Dorota Łoboda, Head of the Education Commission of the Warsaw Council, Reverend Mielczarek, the priest of the academic communities, representative of Science PR, Leszek Skiba, president of PKOSA. I would like to welcome Reverend Jerzy Slipek, the parish priest of St. Apostle Parish, member of the advisory board of the Kozminski University, and I would like to congratulate you on your sermon during the inauguration mass yesterday. Krzysztof Pietrzaszkiewicz, President of the Union of Polish Banks. President, I would like to congratulate you on your inauguration lecture at the University of Technology. May I welcome Mrs. Przybylska, a notary public. I would like to welcome Dr. Bianka Siwińska, Executive Director of the Perspective Education Foundation. May I welcome Mr. Bartłomiej Skrzydlewski, President of the Management Board of Amplus, this year's winner of the Kozminski University Lions Award. May I welcome Mr. Paweł Sierniawa, CEO of Onda, another winner of the Lions Award this year. I would like to welcome representatives of ambassadors, Gladys Parsada Paredes, the ambassador of Peru, and Mr. Francisco Nessa Niares, the second secretary, head of the commercial department of the Brazilian embassy. Ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome all the students, all the academic teachers, and all those who have decided to take the time to be here with us during this important inauguration, both online and offline. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the past academic year, we sadly parted with members of our community. Professor Władysław Baka, our lecturer, former governor of the Central Bank of Poland and member of the roundtable discussions. Professor Jerzy Dietl, long-standing member of our board of trustees, an examiner, and a friend of our university, Professor Mary Kay Kane, chair of the International Consulting Law, Professor Witold Kierzun, our lecturer and participant of the Warsaw Uprising and the honoris causa doctor of our university, and Professor Robert Mundella, the former head of the scientific board of our university. And let's observe a minute of silence, please, to commemorate those past. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a short speech by the rector.
Pozwolę sobie nadal, trzymając dystans społeczny,
Let me
nie zakładać maski.
continue without a mask, but maintaining the distance, social distancing.
Teraz tak, ten działa i ten działa. Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen,
pozwólcie, że zacznę od
let me
osobistych
begin
refleksji.
with on a personal note.
To był najszybciej
This
miniony
was
rok
the
mojego życia.
fastest passing year of my life, a year of remote teaching and learning,
A przede wszystkim
but
rok
first of all,
zdalnego
a
zarządzania.
year of remote management.
Z mojej perspektywy to nie
From
był
my
rok
perspective, it
cyfryzacji
was not the year of the
ale
digital
rok
or the
kluczowych
year of
wartości.
pandemic. It was the year of
Wsparcia,
key values:
pomocy,
support,
współpracy,
help,
zaufania,
collaboration,
odpowiedzialności.
trust, responsibility.
Zgoda. To
Agreed.
faktycznie technologie cyfrowe
It
dały
was
nam
digital
swoisty
technologies that gave us
tej
the
powodzi
oxygen during the pandemic,
Dzięki
during the
nim można
pandemic
było
flood.
czym oddychać.
We had some air to breathe
rok
thanks to them.
zdobywania
But
zaufania
it was
do
a
uczelni,
year
nie
of
tylko naszej,
gaining
każdej.
confidence in the university, not
który
just ours, any
wykorzystaliśmy
university. A year that
w
we
którym
used
byliśmy
well,
razem
a
pomimo
year when we
izolacji
have been
pandemicznej.
together despite pandemic
Razem w
isolation.
rozumieniu bycia
Together
ze
in the
studentami
sense
i
of
dla
being
studentów.
with the students
Razem
and
w
for
rozumieniu
students,
wspólnoty
together in the sense of being a
Pragnę
community.
podziękować w tym
I would
miejscu
like to
swojemu
thank
zespołowi rektorskiemu
here
dziecięcemu,
my team of
panu
rectors and
profesorowi
deans,
Andrzejowi Kozmińskiemu
Professor
oraz
Andrzej
poprzedniemu
Kozminski
rektorowi,
and the
profesorowi
previous
Witoldowi
rector,
Bieleckiemu,
now,
obecnie prezydentowi
now the
uczelni,
president
za
of the
wsparcie i
university,
zawsze
Professor
mą radę.
Witold Bielecki, for their support
Przy okazji,
and
panie
always
profesorze
wide
Andrzeju
advice.
Kozmińskim, pozdrawiam cię serdecznie,
Professor
wiem, że oglądasz
Kozminski,
nas
I want to welcome you, and I know that you're watching us online. No, you're here in person. Welcome.
Dziękuję, że jesteś.
Thank you for being
Pragnę
here.
skierować swoje
I would like
podziękowanie
to
również dla
express my
profesora
gratitude
Piotra
also to
Wachowiaka,
Professor
rektora
Piotr
Szkoły
Wachowiak,
Głównej
director of the
Handlowej i
Warsaw
szefa
School of
Konferencji
Economics
Rektorów
and the
Uczelni
head of the Conference of Rectors
I
of
dla
Warsaw
wszystkich was,
Universities,
koleżanki
and
i
to
koledzy
all of
rektorzy i
you,
rektorki,
my
że
fellow
działamy
rectors
razem,
and
solidarnie
colleagues,
i
for
razem w
acting
rozumieniu całej
together in
społeczności
solidarity,
akademickiej pod
together in the
konferencję
sense of the
rektorów
entire
akademickich
academic
w Polsce.
community under the aegis
tym
of the
roku
Conference of
wielokrotnie
Rectors of
musieliśmy
Academic
udowadniać,
Schools in
czym jest
Poland. This year,
solidarność,
we have
wsparcie i
repeatedly had to
wspólny
prove
głos.
what solidarity,
Czym jest
support, and
autonomia
united voice
uniwersytetu,
mean, what the
uniwersytetu
autonomy of a
wolnego,
university
niezależnego
is,
od
a
nacisków
university
żadnej ze
that is
stron
free
sporu.
and independent from
To był również
pressure
rok
from
ciężkiej
either side
pracy,
of the
dlatego
political
pozwólcie,
dispute.
że
It was
wspomnę
also
o
a year of
najważniejszych
hard work. So
faktach,
let
jakie
me mention
wydarzyły się w
the
naszej
most
akademii.
important developments at our
perspektywę trzech
academy by
megatrendów
taking the perspective of three
oddziałujących na
megatrends that
współpracę
have an impact on contemporary
perspektywy
education and
współpracy z
science:
otoczeniem,
perspective of
perspektywy
relationship with the
cyfrowej
environment, the
transformacji oraz
perspective of digital
perspektywę
transformation, and the
zrównoważonego,
perspective
odpowiedzialnego i
of
inkluzywnego
sustainable, responsible, inclusive
Najpierw
development.
kontekst relacji
So
z otoczeniem
first,
i
the
oddziaływania
context
na świat
of
zwykły.
relationship with the environment and interaction with the
trudnym czasie
socio-economic world. In this
utrzymaliśmy
difficult
naszą
time,
pozycję.
we have
Jesteśmy
maintained
liderem
our
Europy
position. We
Środkowo-Wschodniej,
are the
jeżeli chodzi o
leader in
kształcenie
Central and
biznesu.
Eastern Europe when it comes to
ALK
business
znalazła się na
education. The
45.
Kozminski
miejscu w
University has
Europie,
been ranked
awansując 3
45th
pozycje w porównaniu z
in
ubiegłym.
Europe, moving up 3
Kozminski jest
positions
jedyną
compared to
uczelnią
last year.
notowaną w
Kozminski is the
rankingu
only
Financial
Polish
Times,
university
ale
listed in the
jednocześnie
Financial
pierwszą wśród
Times
szkół z
ranking,
Europy
and at the same time, the first among schools from the CEE region. at the national level, for the 22nd time in a row in the Perspective ranking, we have been recognized as the best non-public university, vice leader among economic universities, and our management program is the best in Poland. This year, we improved our standing in the general classification of Polish university, moving up from 15th to the 13th place. Additionally, the law faculty has reaffirmed its leading position and has again been ranked first in the 21 Rzeczpospolita ranking of law faculties. We have reaffirmed our international standing for the third consecutive year by achieving EQUIS accreditation. That's been 21 years of experience with this accreditation, 25 years as part of the global elite of business schools. The influence on the environment is linked to trust. Therefore, it is very valuable for us that, according to the study Trustworthy Brand, Marka Godna Zaufania in 2021, we are the winner in the category of business education. Relationships with the environment can only be built through collaboration, as we now say using technical jargon, networking. Last year saw a number of new partnerships for our courses, Kanal Plus, ZUS, H&M, Porsche, New Style, Nowy Styl, ING, Bank Śląski, Brief, OPI, M Elements. Employers build the competence of our students together with us. In the field of law, we have signed a partnership agreement with the European Law Students Association, ELSA, with their seat here in at our premises. And we have also concluded an agreement with the Warsaw Bar Association, which supports us in practical training of our law students. So, Professor, thank you again for giving us this opportunity. We welcome initiatives in the form of hackathons, where our students solve real-life problems of companies, such as waste management using big data for Pharma, or designing mobile applications for visually impaired people for ING Bank Śląski. Personally, I think that the form of hackathons is the best for cooperating between business and students, when students can actually work on real-life projects under the pressure of time and also be judged by business practitioners. Influencing the environment also includes scientific research, which is important for all of us. Let me mention a team of researchers from our university and SWPS University that is working on psychosocial conditions of remote working in the area of COVID-19 pandemic, or about the team of Professor Dariusz Jemielniak, working on an important project entitled Nonsense and Propaganda Online, Communities and Bots Propagating Disinformation on the Internet. In the context of cooperation and networking, we have entered into further dual degree agreements with leading universities in the world, such as Graduate School of Management and St. Petersburg University or Tongji University, the leading Chinese business school. At our university, we already offer students over a dozen of such programs, and I'm just saying a sentence more about it because the module related to dual diploma is a very interesting alternative to just leaving your country for the entire course of your studies, to go abroad. In this context, we have dual degree agreements with the world's best business schools, from Brazil through France, Portugal, Great Britain, Ireland, Russia to Hong Kong. As regards management education, we have joined the elite group of MBA consortium, thanks to which our students and graduates may go to Japan, the Silicon Valley, or Brazil or South Africa in order to get knowledge there in those excellent centers. Despite the pandemic, we have organized a number of international conferences, for instance, the Regional European Marketing Association conference that just ended last week. Apart from the advisory bodies operating within the university, a few weeks ago we established an executive education advisory board where prominent business people, presidents and CEOs of such entities as PZU Życie, Longevity Center, Cinerise, BP, Oriflame, Budimex, NetGuru or Vielton will advise us on the direction in which to develop our management education. We are proud of the successes of our scientists, for example, Professor Kołotko, Professor Marcin Piotkowski, Professor Aleksandra Przeganińska, or Professor Mariola Ciszewska-Ninarisz, whose publications are appreciated both in Poland and abroad. We are extremely pleased also with the successes, achievements of our students and graduates. For example, Edgar Kobos, who has been appointed Polish youth delegate to the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. This is really important because it's been for the first time in history that the same person has been elected for the second term to hold this office. Kozminski is also often identified with sports, so let me just mention some sports achievements. Our sports team last year, for the 12th time, won the title of the best non-public university team. Our chess players defended the title of academic champions of Poland for the first time in a row. So chess, bridge, esports, basketball, tennis are the key disciplines for our university. Our success also includes our graduates who make us proud in the country and abroad, and who, among others, are awarded by us with the Kozminski Lion statuettes, and we will be talking more about it. Another trend is digital transformation. When it comes to this area, I won't be talking about remote learning or remote teaching. I'll mention things that I believe are more important. We try to have the focus on the well-being of our students and staff by creating a psychological support team, which is really important in the pandemic times of solitude and pressure of remote working. We also invest in the development of digital teaching competences, realizing that putting your lectures on Teams is just the beginning of a revolution in education, the beginning of major shift in global education. We have offered new forms of education and online studies to our students. We have equipped more than a dozen classrooms with hybrid learning equipment, including jointly with our technology partners. 2 rooms have been equipped thanks to Huawei and Logitech. We teach how to verify the value of information, because we must remember that according to research, about 80% of information on the internet is information that is either fragmented, selective, false, or manipulated. We should keep this in mind when drawing conclusions, making decisions, evaluating, especially when the buzzword of contemporary management is big data, universal measurement, reliance on data, and defining all sorts of success metrics, KPIs. I think at this point it is worth mentioning the words of William Edwards Deming. People with targets and jobs dependent upon meeting them will probably meet the targets, even if they have to destroy the enterprise to do it. I wish to emphasize that when it comes to digital transformation, we are not naive romantics. We know what, along with being great competent in cyberspace, is very important. It's digital well-being, cybersecurity, awareness of threat that are there in the digital world. We understand what the digital world is, what its implications are for energy policy, cybersecurity, virtually every area of the socio-economic life. We don't give our students ready-made solutions or recipes. We prepare them to know what the world in which they will operate is. The third trend that I wanted to mention involves inclusiveness, responsible and sustainable development. In the positive impact rating, assessing the responsibility for the pro-environmental perspective, we are at the forefront of Europe. The Kozminski University has found itself among the leaders, among 46 universities from all over the world, among such universities like Maastricht University, Aalto, IEDA, HHL Leipzig. We are aware of our impact on social and economic environment, on natural environment, and everything that is related to sustainable development. We are changing our campus to be environmentally friendly, and by 2025, we will become a paper-free organization. We won't be using paper, except maybe for the diploma that we would still like to issue to you on paper. We are implementing modern systems for university management and supporting students during their education, for university management. We support initiatives such as Green Kozminski, where students come to us with a lot of interesting ideas how to change our syllabuses, how to change our campus so that we are even more environmentally friendly. And we also invite bees to our new beehives that we have just put up on the building D roof. We have been the first university in Poland to implement the sustainable development goals at the strategy level. Out of the 17 goals, we have selected 6. Let me list them. First, ensure inclusive and high-quality, equitable education. Gender equality for women and girls. Third, support for inclusive, sustainable industrialization and innovation. Make cities and human settlements safe and sustainable for work and life. 5, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And 6, strengthen the means for implementation and revitalization of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. We've also been the first in the country to place the sustainable development at the pro-rector level of the organization. We attach great importance to promoting women as leaders of change in governments, be it through scientific research, teaching, studies, or management of the university. The Kozminski Foundation supports talented young people with scholarships, organizes aid campaigns. For instance, graduates of our university had a very destructive fire in their flat. They almost lost their lives there. So we supported them financially in this difficult time. Similarly, we also supported the Praga Hospital in Warsaw by collecting funds for a ventilator. Now, what's next? On watching the reality, we have very close relationship with very good, the best universities all over the world. A lot of us visit universities in the United States, in Asia, in Europe, and a lot of us come to the same conclusion. It's now time to change our perspective. Kozminski University is currently the leading business university in Central and Eastern Europe, in our region. But we aim higher, and we want to achieve the status of a world-class business university located in the center of Europe, in Warsaw. Now, is it possible with our modest budgets? We've been making up for it with ambition and dreams since 1993. When our university was established. But we also are counting on a mindset change, especially on the part of the business community. And I would like to appeal here to all those who complain about Polish universities. I'm looking now at my friends, rectors, vice-rectors, deans. I know that we have achieved a lot considering those difficult conditions and the level of funding for science in Poland. The endowment funds of the biggest, the best universities in the world is billions of hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the amounts we are talking about. And it's just not just the state or government that is always their donor supporting the universities in their fight or at the very competitive market of education. And saying all this, I'm addressing all those who care about the well-being of Polish universities. I'm asking you for patience, support, and active involvement in building the power of Polish science. And in particular, I appeal to the representatives of the business community to invest in Polish research, in Polish students, in Polish scientists. Do we really, to take a football perspective, always want to be proud of the achievements of foreign clubs? I know that each of you, deep in your heart, dreams about having our own Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, so having Polish inside Harvard or MIT. Believe me, it can be done, and it's not just a dream, a fantasy. These students, I'm really glad that there are so many of you are here with us today, and let me address my final words to you, because you are the main focus of this ceremony. When I was your age, I traveled traveled a lot, and I will never forget my visit to the Prado Museum in Madrid. Walking among the medieval portraits, I noticed that many figures were accompanied by a human skull, and it bothered me a lot why that symbol so often appeared next to lively, smiling, vigorous people. It turns out that the answer is both simple and reflective. Because of disease, frequent battles or wars, the transience of time was extremely noticeable at the time. People knew how fragile life is, how important the time is, how important every moment was. And even though today we are living in a bubble of efficiency, a cult of success, an obsession with reality control, which has given rise to all forms of managing everything with big data, from the weather to organizations to our own body and health. The reality is that we are just as vulnerable as we were hundreds or thousands years ago, vulnerable in the face of the passing time. That is why it's not the financial resources that are the most important sacrifice that you make. It's your time, the time of your life that you have decided to devote to your development at our university. As university authorities and faculty, we are aware of this, perhaps even more aware than you are yourselves. You would do well not to think about the passing time for as long as possible, feeling that you still have a lot of that time. But we are thinking about your time, and we feel responsible for making sure that you do not waste your time here with us. And I deliberately use the phrase your development in our university, because at our university we do not only look at you through the prism of a solid, practical, modern education. According to a World Economic Forum study, 68% of current elementary school students will work in occupations that do not yet exist. And we do not know what the emerging technologies will bring to the development of the world, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, or Internet of Things. So let's wonder whether they perhaps won't destroy humanity, if only through the enormous demand for electricity, or entangling us in total control, in which we ourselves, and not the mythical big brother, will bring about our own digital enslavements. Now, what are the implications of all this? First, we need to teach you how to learn. We need to teach you how to unlearn. We need to teach you how to look for answers rather than what the answer looks like. We need to teach you how to doubt and how to question and how to look critically at the information you have been given. We must convince you that learning is a lifestyle, not just formal learning, but learning on the go. Just reading from Instagram while you're traveling on a tram, a post devoted to learning French, or listening to a podcast about modern management while you're stuck in traffic. If you wish so, Kozminski University will be your partner in development for the rest of your lives. For us, researchers, scientists, teachers, the contemporary world is also a great learning and school of life. We want to be your authority, maybe not only authority in terms of knowledge, but in terms of conduct, outlook on the world, and the values we uphold. Second, we need to give you an education that gives you freedom of choice in life. That is why we put so much emphasis on the practicality of our studies, on bringing in business and institutional partners, on showing you our research, on going into the world, become international. It may sound trivial, but it's really important. It's a great idea that traveling and living in other places teaches you a lot. As we update our degree syllabi, we encourage you to learn algorithmic thinking. Remember, knowledge of basics of programming today is like knowledge of English in 1988. You don't have to be fluent, but it's like lingua franca. It's the current basis for the social and economic development. And it's not about putting digital competency above or instead a non-digital world, but it's about developing the ability to properly function both in the analog and the digital world. But above all, we want you to be amazing people, ambitious, open-minded, self-confident in a positive sense, acting ethically, aware of the changes taking place in the society, in the economy. Believe me, the world is yours, and nothing gives parents greater joy than the success of their children. And you are our professional children. That is why it's so important for us to be successful. We want to be proud of you, and let this was happy and favorable for you. Thank you very much.
Chciałbym serdecznie prosić teraz
I would like to hand over to President Bielecki, and I would like to ask Mr. President for his speech.
Witam wszystkich Państwa.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm wearing a different hat today. Those who understand and remember past inaugurations, I used to be in Professor Mazurek's shoes in the past. Now, this is going to be an intervention rather than a speech, even though I was given a slot for a speech. Now, there's one reason. The rector's inauguration speech is the only speech. This is going to remain forever. But I've been asked to intervene, so I would like to share a number of points with you. First is a president wearing a toga, wearing a gown, is quite a sensation. And I learned it myself visiting an inauguration ceremony in one of the universities. But that university is anti-fragile, because it handled the problem quite well, seeing another guest wearing a gown, and he had to be managed somehow. There was some confusion, but the matter was resolved rather elegantly. Now, as I said, I would like to share several things with you from a different perspective than a rector. A president's perspective is truly different. First and foremost, for the past 18 months of inactivity of this empty university, I've come here quite often, and my heart wept when I was looking at this empty building with no people, with no movement. And when the first lockdown was announced, I remember it was packed. There were so many students. Our students are marked by the quality of speaking different languages. Well, we teach in Polish and English in corridors. We hear so many other languages. So it was quite a Tower of Babel that you had to squeeze your way through. And then, all of a sudden, this place became empty. And we are anti-fragile, and I'm referring to Professor Taleb's a Lebanese writer. He's a mathematician. He works in the United States, the Black Swan. I'm sure you have read the Anti-Fragility. Don't miss it. Equally thick and equally interesting. I'm mentioning this because we started in difficult conditions. This very room used to be a production facility. When we entered, this was a place with huge foundations. We wanted actually to use this room for a gym. a proper gym, if you like. Unfortunately, the foundations are so solid that you would have to use dynamite or to remove them, which we didn't do. This is why we have this grand auditorium maximum. Whilst I was a rector, or the rector of this school, I experienced an interesting incident. A participant of a conference, actually a rector, I was seeing him off after a conference, and we were inching our way through the crowd of students. He said, "Your infrastructure is kind of post-industrial, but I envy you in terms of the atmosphere among students." And that made me think. I hadn't noticed that so vividly, but I then thought that we need to catch up with the infrastructure, and things evolved under Professor Mazurek's rectoring. We have seen a number of changes. We have the bring your own device policy. We can use a lot of licensed software, and we have a large pool. There's no subject that will be taught without the support of applications. So students may use their own devices, log in, and enjoy all the applications on their own computers. This is a very progressive approach. This facilitates the use of applications, given the fact that we have limited IT lab capability. In fact, over time, we may actually give up on them altogether. Now, over to the first-year students. There's a rumor circulating in private conversation, that is, that we will have poor quality or poor quality of students coming in because of the lockdown. Students didn't go to school or missed learning. And I heard words of sympathy. I don't envy you having to work with such students, I heard. Now, my experience tells me things are not that bad. Not everyone is predisposed to be good at distance learning. By the way, Australian experience is the longest. We can rely on this. Why Australia? Well, the sparsely populated country, and education could sometimes be impossible, so they introduced learning by radio. And they studied the phenomenon, and they found that a percentage of students will never be good at it, will never be able to enjoy it and progress, but most will. And we have such people here, and we have people who cherish online learning, time-saving, and the time it takes to prepare for presentations, etc. And it's on both fronts, both the teachers and the students. I have recently received a number of papers for review, and I see that so many papers are very good. Maybe not in the research sections because of the lockdown, because of the fieldwork constraints, but I was truly surprised at the quality of the papers and the language that these young people that I have read displayed. We have this litmus test of the Żabinek sports camp, where we take people, and we've always had trouble there, because these young people were off the leash, if you like. Pardon the language. Young people out of home, out of bound, out of control. Alcohol, excessive binging, excess, if you like, proving your point or that you're adult, etc., etc. And this year, I have been told that never has this university had such a quiet camp. And maybe I should worry. Maybe I should do something to change, to shake it a little bit in terms of the program to breed creativity, which is the something that entrepreneurs live and breathe. But noblesse oblige. In French, you should stand out because you belong to this community. You should carry the flag proudly, and you should be recognizable as the Kozminski people. So you have to observe good conduct. Stadium hooliganism, as we all know, is not exactly a standard conduct to be followed. I'm saying this because it is not unseen here and there, including the Polish Parliament. I warn you, and I encourage you, never follow that standard. Be proud and make us proud. Speaking of stadium hooliganism, I should really say something about the language, which has been impoverished. And this is the year of Cyprian Kamil-Norwid, a Polish poet who helps us understand the beauty of the Polish language, which is structurally one of the richest languages on this planet. Just look at the comparison between Polish and English. English takes less space because it's contextual language. You have to do a lot of guessing. Polish is rich. Although, I must say, I've recently read the Leona fairy tales by Leszek Kołakowski, and these stories, by the way, Leszek Kołakowski, you know the name, a Polish philosopher, a very learned scholar, and he wrote those fables or stories, really, with lots of metaphors. Now, the question, can modern people understand these metaphors? I suppose there could be trouble. The word empathy has taken on a completely new meaning, actually in contradiction to what we used to be thinking about this word. And the rector was kind enough to mention the sermon by Reverend Jerzy Slipek during yesterday's Inauguration Mass. And I'm just wondering, this was a mini lecture, as the Reverend called it himself. Now, I'm wondering how many people will truly understand the content of the mini lecture. Last but not least, I would like to take this opportunity to say that I have witnessed, maybe you have as well, I have witnessed an interview with a Polish person, a young Pole living abroad. He lives in Transnistria, and the journalist is asking him what life was like, what life is like, about his, etc. So he tells his story, and then he hears a question: what would you bring to Poland from Transnistria? And he said, political correctness, I don't like it in Poland. Back home, he says whatever he feels like we used to be free, and today we are slaves to political correctness. Now I'm sensitive to this. And look at how politically correct the rector's speech was. It's the sign of times. Now, we heard business ethics. We are either ethical or non-ethical. There's no such thing as business ethics. Of course, some people make money by promoting business ethics and the like. A friend of mine, a professor of medicine, a famous professor, I asked him about medical ethics. Frankly, he said, the last time I heard it was back at the university. This is the challenge that we face as professors. Please do not look at political correctness as we educate our students. So, dear students, I wish you good choices, correct choices in the general correctness, not necessarily political correctness. Thank you very much.
Dziękuję, panie
Thank you
prezydencie.
very much, Mr. President.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and
z okazji
gentlemen,
nowego roku
on the occasion
akademickiego
of the
otrzymaliśmy
new
życzenia od pana prezydenta
academic
Rzeczypospolitej
year,
Andrzeja
we
Dudy,
received
pana marszałka
wishes
Senatu
from the
Rzeczypospolitej
President of
Polskiej
Poland,
profesora
Andrzej
Tomasza
Duda,
Grodzkiego,
Speaker of the
pana
Senate, Tomasz
prezydenta miasta
Grodzki,
stołecznego Warszawy
the
Rafała
Mayor of
Trzaskowskiego,
Warsaw, Rafał
marszałka
Trzaskowski,
województwa
the
mazowieckiego
Marshal
Adama
of the
Struzika
Warsaw
oraz wielu
Voivodeship,
zaprzyjaźnionych
Adam
doktorów uczelni
Struzik, and from a
polskich i
number of
zagranicznych.
fellow
Bardzo serdecznie za nie wszystkie
universities,
dziękujemy.
both
Będą
in
powieszone
Poland
na
and
stronie
abroad.
internetowej uczelni.
We like to thank
Bardzo
you for
proszę
all
teraz
of them.
wszystkich o
We will
powstanie.
place them on our internet website. Now I'd like to ask you all to rise.
Prole fecunda
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and
przejdziemy teraz do
gentlemen,
niezwykle
now
ważnej
we
części
will
naszej
go to the most
uroczystości,
important
a więc
part
do
of our ceremony.
immatrykulacji.
That is the
Bardzo
matriculation
proszę pana
ceremony. Now,
prorektora
let
do
me
spraw
ask the
dydaktycznych,
prorector for
profesora
didactic affairs,
Aleksandra
Professor
Mazierza, o przyjęcie
Alexander
ślubowania
Mazierz,
studentów
to
pierwszego
accept
roku.
the pledge of the students of the first year. I'd like to invite to the stage the following representatives of the first year students. Piotr Pawlak, studying economics, who received scholarship for the best candidates. Aleksandra Stębowska, to study psychology and management, an award winner of the Media Olympiad and finalist of the Knowledge of Media Olympiad, Bernardeta González de Jesus from management and Martyna Kozan from law, students with the highest recruitment scores, Benedict Skor from financial management, organizer of the economic conference Paris Polish Forum, raising among others the climate issues, a sportsman with success in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now I'd like to ask all the students to repeat the words of the pledge. So all people accepted for the first year should raise their right hand and repeat the words of the pledge. I solemnly pledge to consistently strive toward academic knowledge and personal development,
odnosić się z szacunkiem do władz uczelni i wszystkich członków jej społeczności, szanować
respect authorities and staff of the university, its property, academic rules, rights and traditions, and with your behavior not to compromise the reputation of the student body of Kozminski University. From now on, you are students, officially students of the Kozminski University.
Please repeat after me. I solemnly pledge to consistently strive toward academic knowledge and personal development, to respect the authorities and staff of the university, its property, academic rules, rights and traditions, and not to compromise the reputation of the students' body of Kozminski University. From this moment, you are officially students of Kozminski University.
Profesor Mazierz wręcza teraz
Professor Mazierz is now presenting the students with the congratulatory diplomas.
bardzo dziękujemy.
Thank you very much.
Proszę o zabranie
Now I'd like to give the floor to the Deputy Chair of the Students' Council of our university, Ms. Wiktoria Gawrońska.
Bardzo proszę, sportowcy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Your Magnificence, President of the Kozminski University, professors, dear guests, and fellow students. I have a great pleasure to welcome particularly the students of the first year who begin studies at our university. I know that for many of you this year will be a great challenge, but try to get as much as you can from this experience. Remember, studies is not your goal. Studies are just a means for your personal fulfillment and fulfilling your dreams. University is not just lectures, laboratories, or learning foreign languages. Sorry.
Przepraszam, zestresowałam się. Uczelnia to nie tylko ćwiczenia.
University is not just laboratories, lectures, or learning foreign languages. You can get involved in various activities, scientific, social, sports, or integration activities. In our university, there is a number of students' clubs, and I do encourage you to take part in these activities. There are a number of events that are organized at the university that you can take part in, but you can also create new events. Remember, the more you give, the more you will take. In the university, there are also students' organizations, such as the Students' Councils or KIS, Kozminski International Society. Being a member of those organizations, you can take even more active participation in the life of the university and shape the direction of the development and of the life in the students. But the most important value you will find at the university are people, friendships, and experience that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I remember when 2 years ago I was here where you were sitting today. I remember the stress, I remember the fear, the concern. You're starting a new stage of your life. But that's the moment when you are really being put at the steering wheel of your life. And the place where you are now today will help you do that. But if you have any problems, it's not just the staff, but also us. Students from higher years are here for you, to help you. Dear students of the first year, from now on, you are officially students of the Kozminski University. Do remember to represent, to be the university with pride, both while you're students and then when you're graduates. We will soon see you at the halls of the university. Thank you.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much for this.
Szanowni Państwo, tym
Ladies
samym
and gentlemen,
ogłaszam rok
now I
akademicki
hereby declare the academic year
2021-2022
2021-2022 open.
Proszę o powstanie.
Please rise.
Gaudeamus igitur iuvem estum sumus, post iucundam juventutem, post molestam selectutem, nos habebit humus, nos habebit humus. Vivat Akademia, vivat professores, vivat Akademia, vivat professores, vivat membrum quod libert, vivat membra felibert, semper sint in flore, semper sint in flore.
Bardzo dziękujemy.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. And now I'd like to give the floor to the president of Kozminski University, Professor Witold Bielecki.
Już, kochani, okazuje się, że
Okay, it turns out that it's also my responsibility to present the Kozminski's Lions, since I'm the head of the chapter of this competition. That is the body that actually selects, first nominates the candidates and then selects those who will be the winners of this award. The idea of this award is originated long ago, and it was really on our part following some corporate awards that began to be around in Poland at that time. So we began as everybody else. We first had Eagles, Kozminski Eagles, And the criteria are there. There is a set of criteria. But the general idea is to distinguish those graduates who, after graduating from the university and beginning their professional career, achieved greatest success, so that we can show how proud we are of them, and so that their success also somehow radiates both into the community of entrepreneurs and managers. And then one of our professors questioned that and said, well, there are too many eagles. Everybody's giving eagles left and right. Maybe we should do something else. And then, so we came up with the idea of to have the lion. Lion, as you may know, his story of a lion when we were looking for a symbol for our university. And we decided it was going to be a shark, business shark, but again, there was a leak somewhere, and another university, Warsaw School of Economics, decided to use the shark, business shark, as their symbol, so we had to find something else. And we decided to go for a lion. Well, that was natural, really, because our patron is Leon Kozminski. Leo is very close to lion, so that was accepted as a good idea, and therefore today we award Kozminski Lions. So let me now ask the winners to the stage. Where do we have the lions? Okay, the lions. The lions are there on the table, so I have to go out from behind the table to present the award. So Mr. Bartłomiej Skrzydlewski in the category entrepreneur and Mr. Paweł Średniawa in the category the manager. The gentlemen have already been officially welcomed by the rector. Mr. Bartłomiej Skrzydłowski, the CEO and managing director of the Amplus family company. Every day we have contact with products of that company without even knowing that, because most fruit and vegetables sold in Biedronka chain either comes from Amplus's own plantation or is distributed by this company. Amplus operates globally, is present all over Europe. It also coordinates supplies of several national or domestic producer group. It also runs innovative ecological plantation, multi-layer vertical growth of leaf vegetables and herbs. Paweł Średniawa, CEO of ONDI, specializing in wind farm and photovoltaic farms. Since he entered that company, at that time specializing in road construction, the company has changed, has been through several makeovers, including change of the industry from construction to renewable energy, capital changes, and successful IPO. Quick revenue growth of ONDI means more green energy for consumers and for investors, a prospect of dividend. Before I give them the floor, I do invite you to the website. There you could see how great this company is. Thank you. Well, it's not difficult to get nervous in front of such an audience. I wanted to thank you for this award. I wanted to thank the chapter of the competition that you appreciated our achievements, our company, and I would also like to thank my wife and my parents who have been supporting me, particularly in some difficult moments. Also great thanks to my brother who has been implementing those projects together with me, and all the people, all our staff working in our company, because company is people and we have great specialists in their professions. Let me make a reference to both the president and the rector have said that as everywhere else, as in any competition, you have winners and losers, and that's a natural thing. We live in a probabilistic world, in a world where the fact that something happens with some probability. There is a number of models, algorithms that are used to predict that. An example of that may be weather models that predict whether it will be raining or sunshine this year. In 1960, Lawrence, who noticed that a very small change on input data leads to a huge change in the output, which as a result led us to a number of definitions and theories, including the butterfly effect, that there is a probability that a butterfly flying its wings may lead or cause a tornado somewhere in another part of the world. But what it is all about, it's about the fact that right now we're living in chaos. A lot of noise is there around us. And what we're trying to do is to explain this, harness it in a way. And that's why we use probability. Richard Branson used to say that if a project has 18% of success, we should try. We should take the risk and get that project and try to implement it. Of course, all of us, every single one of us has different sensitivity to risk. For some of us, the chance has to be 60, 70, or 80%. But no matter what the percentage is, there's always a chance that we will fail. We might fail, and that happens in life. And I'm the best example of that. Over the last 20 years, I took more or less risky decisions that sometimes led to failure. But my determination and consistency in really implementing my plans, fulfilling my plans, led me here to this room, and I'm able now to accept this prestigious award. So that's what I wish you, the students, dream, plan, and be consistent in trying to fulfill your dreams. Thank you very much for this. Well, I have to comment on this because all that you have said about the percentage, we all have all that in bridge, in the game of bridge. If you play bridge, you know that we also use percentage there. Does it make sense to go for a certain for a certain result or not? And sometimes you fail. Okay, Paweł, now the floor is yours.
Dziękuję bardzo. Szanowni
Thank you
Państwo,
very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say a few words to you. When I was awarded this lion, I was wondering how the chapter actually made its selection, what kind of tools they used. Maybe that was a Kahoot, I don't know. But seriously, when I was notified that I had been nominated to this award, I was very proud, and I am proud, but I was also surprised because I was wondering what happened, what made a young boy from Toruń to be nominated among 60,000 graduates of the university. So I decided to go back. And now I think I know. When I began working for ONDED, the name of the company then was different. It was a small local company with revenue about 100 million zloty, operating in road construction sector. After 12 years, together with the entire team, we now are in a situation when we are a national company operating in the whole country. We have last year 600 million revenue. We employ 500 staff, and we are a leader in Poland in constructing renewable energy installations. And our greatest success today, this year, was that we had an IPO on the Warsaw Stock Exchange. And I think this IPO has been one of the best 3 IPOs over the last 3 years. I know that this award is from me, thank you very much, but it wouldn't be possible to achieve this success without the work of the entire team. So great thanks to the whole staff of ONDE company for working on our goals together and for achieving these goals together. You see, I'm always also nervous. A lot of thanks also to all our business partners, without whom this success wouldn't be possible either. And personally, I wanted to thank my wife, Milena, who for the last 20 years has been supporting me in taking various decisions, both business and private decisions. Thank you, Milena. I hope that somebody has recorded that and I would be able to show it to her. Thank you very much, and great applause.
Dziękuję. A razem zdjęcie zrobimy.
Thank you very much, and let's have a photo together. Pavel said he didn't know the criteria that the chapter used, but certainly it wasn't because you come from Toruń.
Oczywiście.
Szanowni Państwo, jeszcze taka dygresja dotycząca...
Just a small digression about my own university years. I remember the interview where I was preparing here, standing in the corridors of the Kozminski University. I looked around at the pictures of previous Kozminski Lions winners. And I had been awed by them. But I felt there was this glass ceiling I was under, and they were above. And then we collected our diplomas at the end of the courses, and Professor Bączek's speech about dreams coming true. And now I'm standing here and I can pet this lion. Now, this is a shrewd idea with the lion. This is a very heavy award. They will not be able to get rid of it. It's a marketing trick that we have used. Let's put it together for both winners. And now I would like to give the floor to Dr. Sylwia Hałas-Day, President of the Kozminski Foundation, with Alicja and Andrzej Kozminski as the founders. The Kozminski Foundation supports gifted students and awards scholarships for academic to promote academic progress and community involvement. Ever since 2004, the foundation has awarded 300 scholarships for the total value of 1 million zlotys. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished rectors, the Kozminski Foundation is a unique place because it is supported by a unique community. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the parents of our students and our past students, the second and the first degree students and MBA students and companies that have decided to grant corporate scholarship, and the faculty of the Kozminski University. Well, I'm standing here and thanking you for the support for our foundation, and indeed we have granted 56 scholarships in the past year to those young people who know what they want and know how to do it. And I encourage you to do your utmost, to put in the hard work, and maybe we will meet along the way. And I would like to continue asking for your help, and I dare to say this because I know that I'm speaking to a special community of people of different walks of life, which is so great. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best investment you can make, and the rector has mentioned the precarious times we live in. Investing in young people makes sense, and the Kozminski Foundation is your partner in building a better future. Thank you very much.
Bardzo dziękujemy.
Thank you very much. And now over to Professor
Inauguracyjnego
Olejniczak, Tomasz Olejniczak, who will make this inauguration lecture entitled The Herb on the Crater, Organizational Sustainability of Long-Lived Companies in Poland. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and I would like magnificent guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, it is a great honor for me to deliver this opening lecture, and I've given much thought about the title. And because of the waves of crises that we have been swept by, environmental, economic, social, and medical, I have decided to spend this time talking about organizational resilience, which is a response to the challenges faced by us in the modern world. The title of the lecture contains a threat and a spark of hope. The threat comes from Pańkowicz's book, Zieleń na kraterze, or Herb on the Crater. And we are going to discuss an organization which will be in constant threat, at risk of being overflown by lava from an erupting crater. But there's hope. There are long-lived Polish companies over 100 years. If there are such companies that have lived over 100 years, going through all those ups and downs, maybe there's hope for them to live another 100 years. And between the two poles, we will place our concept of organizational resilience. Organizational resilience is defined as an ability of an organization to come out of shocks and to restore the original underlying equilibrium. People who conduct research of resilience claim that resilience is not a quality of an organization, but a process in which an organization, after going through a shock, can shake off the remnants or the weakness, can restore and actually jump to a much higher level than it used to be in before. There's always a question, if it is a process rather than a quality, what are the qualities of an organization capable of being resilient? And we should study the history of long-lived Polish organizations that have weathered many a storm over the past 100 years. Under a research grant with Dr. Anna Pikos, we studied 100 corporate stories, and we have visited more than 90 organizations up and down the country, and we have always and everywhere heard fascinating stories of survival and struggle. And I would like to tell a story of one company to demonstrate what we can learn from this in terms of organizational resilience. The company is called Sterkowski. It's a small family-owned company in Falenice that produces hats and caps. Established in 1926, it all started with Anna Sterkowska, who, after the death of her husband, decided to start a small business selling hats to make ends meet. She started selling hats in the center of Warsaw, near Pańska Street, and she was held by Zygmunt Sterkowski, still very young, and this business story was interrupted by the Second World War. Zygmunt was taken to Germany for slave labor, and Anna was able to sell off the remaining 6 hats to survive. And the post-war history of the company is the story of Zygmunt. He returns to Warsaw, and he brings with us a half-burnt machine that could be used for making clothes. He found a partner, a Jewish merchant, miraculously survived, and he shared his business contacts with Zygmunt. And in 2 years, the company evolved to employ 50 people. The company was then killed by communist taxes, which were arbitrarily applied by the communist government to destroy small private businesses. And then we have Julian Kozminski, who emigrates to Paris. He starts his own clothing business, and it took him no time at all to hire 100 people, and they both supported each other, exporting and importing between Poland and France. Zygmunt educated two heirs, if you like, 2 of his sons, and ever since 1975, Marek Stajkowski, the son, conducted the small business operations in hat manufacturing, and they had to make ends meet, and they had to be very industrious because of the overall shortage of goods and materials under communism, Poland. So they had to use alternative materials. When the transition came in the 90s, the climate for businesses was good again, and the company flourished, securing such orders as 27,000 hats for Danish police. However, globalization continued, and the market was flooded by cheap products from China. Financial liquidity became a problem, and the company had to shrink again back to Marek Stajkowski's single person or one-man show, who operated the same business, selling hats to museums and cultural institutions. Now, a 4th generation came over, Szymon Stajkowski and Przemysław Krutowy, his stepbrother, and they started selling Marek's hats. In 2010, the successor decided to scale the business up, and the company currently employs 40 people. The fact that the former generation, Marek, is still in the company, supporting it, has helped the organization keep the unique craftsmanship competences, so they're ready to do and to make any style of hats. Peaky Blinders has become an inspiration for their recent project. The young generation added to the traditional craftsmanship the savvy knowledge of markets and online tools. And the company invested heavily in e-commerce, and the company reached out to customers in the United States, and globally 80% of sales of the company come from the US. And this picture, the white stripes, Jack White sporting one of Marek's hats. This is the biggest achievement of the company. There's no doubt that Stajkowski is an example of corporate resilience, of coming out of shocks, survival, weathering the storm, and stiffening the upper lip. The company illustrates the 4 qualities across its history. First, Readiness to start all over again from scratch. Each generation of the Stakowski family had to start again based on their resolve, determination, and hard work. Secondly, in the process of restoration of their business, friendship and the family community mattered. Julian, Anna, and the sons, Marek and Jerzy, well, helping each other as they were also helped by their sons, and the company could survive with the support of friends and family. Third, the company continued to specialize in its craft, bringing in innovation, both in production and merchandising. Each generation would bring its own innovation. However, the core business remained with its unique set of skills. And fourthly, international orientation of the business has mattered all through the history. The Paris period and then the American period, and the focus on these markets and sourcing markets as well helped the company survive. And I believe the story of the Stakowski family and its company brings hope. It's one of hundreds of recipes for success that are hidden in the stories of companies in this country and beyond. I would like to tell you, the students of Kozminski University, that you will be able to gain the skills that help you start all over again. And you can do it here. You will be learning how to start all over again, how to make friendships, how to make specialization, how to bring innovation, how to orient your businesses or your activity to international markets. So study well and study diligently. Your survival may depend on it. Thank you.
Panie profesorze, raz jeszcze
Professor, thank you again for your opening lecture. Today's ceremony is enriched by the choir of the Music University of Frédéric Chopin, and they will give us a performance that would conclude our ceremony.
Amen. do utraty sił, do utraty tchu. Tyle było chwil, gdy żałujesz tych, w których nie masz nic. Jedno warto znać, jedno było tylko wiedz, ważnych dni nie znamy, na które czekamy, ważnych dni nie znamy, pewien znany ktoś, kto miał dom i sad, zgubił nagle sens i złe kręgi wpadł. Choć majątek prys, on nie stoczył się, wytłumaczyć umiał sobie właśnie, że ważnych dni nie znamy, na które czekamy, jak rozpoznać ludzi, których już nie znamy, jak pozbierać myśli z tych nieposkładanych, jak oddzielić serce od rozruchu, jak usłyszeć siebie pośród śpiewu tchu, jak rozpoznać ludzi, których już nie znamy, jak pozbierać myśli z tych nieposkładanych, jak odnaleźć nagle radość i nadzieję. Odpowiedzi szukaj, czasu jest tak wiele, ważnych dni nie znamy, na które czekamy,
Dziękuję wam za jak
Thank you very much for fantastic performance as always.
Proszę o powstanie.
Please rise, ladies and gentlemen.
Dziękując za waszą
Thanking for your
obecność,
presence here.
chciałbym tu i teraz
I would
zamknąć
like to
uroczystość
close the
inauguracji roku
ceremony of
2021
inauguration of opening the academic year of 2021-2022.
i zapraszam na poczęstunek.
And now you're welcome to join us for refreshments.